Hi everyone, welcome to our podcast with a very familiar space. This is Miss Rach, my dear friend Rachel Lim, co-founder of Bonito and also founder. Are you founder of RachReflects? Is that?
I guess so, yes.
Well, obviously you are. Welcome to Comfort and Growth, the podcast for people who are passionate about personal growth and productivity. So today, I wanted to do a very special episode about morning routines because I very kaypoh. I love hearing specifics about successful people's morning routines, how they get themselves set up for their day, any kind of productivity rituals you have. So Rach, I want you to kind of imagine as if we are watching this on a movie and take us through frame by frame in your ideal day.
Yes,
you know,
my ideal day.
Your ideal day. Yeah. Like your ideal, like really kicking ass kind of day.
Okay.
Like how do you set yourself up for success? Tell us like from the moment you wake up, like what happens?
That's a great question because I do think like in different seasons, I have different routines.
Yeah.
Like right now, you know, in my final trimester of pregnancy, it's a really different set of routines. But let me talk about like an ideal day.
Okay.
So when I start, I wake up very early because that's when I realize also that my peak productivity happens very early in the morning. There are actually different phases in the day where I have peak productivity, and one of which is in the morning. So I wake up at like 6 a.m.
Oh my God.
That's also because like I need to also set myself up for success before Ollie wakes up at 8.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so I have that solid 2 hours. So I wake up at 6. Of course, you know, the usual snooze my alarm, set it off, and then go brush teeth. And while I'm brushing my teeth, I have like stick-ons on the mirrors of affirmations.
No way.
Or reminders. Yeah, because I think that also helps me to like feed my mind instead of letting my mind wander. So, for example, is in this season is I am strong, I'm confident, I'm worthy, and you know sometimes there might be different verses or quotes that help me through the season.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah.
I'm going to steal that from you.
Yes, you
should.
should.
Paste it on the
So
bathroom
it's like
mirror.
post it,
Yeah.
paste it on the bathroom mirror. So instead, because we spend maybe about 2 or 3 minutes there, you know, brushing, washing up, and like it just speaks to me every day.
Yeah.
And I think that's very powerful.
I love that.
Yeah, so that helps me. And then after that, I'm done. I will gulp down a whole glass of water and then head to the kitchen to make my coffee. And making my coffee, you know, it's like a mental wake up for me to allow me to allow my brain to know that, okay, your day is starting. And
Okay, wait. I want to hear specifics.
Specifics?
What kind of coffee and how do you drink it? A very specific person.
I'm so embarrassed. Mine is just a 2-in-1 Old Town coffee.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I
You're not
don't
the
know how to work the
atas
fancy
coffee type.
I don't know how to work that. That's why, you know, for me, you know, I know that the aroma and the coffee smell comes out a lot from more of like, you know, the ones where you grind
Yes.
the beans. But for me, the 2-in-1 is good enough.
Okay, never mind. Sponsorship coming your way. I can smell.
And education, please.
Yes.
But yes, so the 2-in-1 Old Town coffee, I'll make it and then I'll sit down and then I'll do the 5-minute journal. Because that's also like a time where I ground myself.
Where do you do the journal? Is it in bed or downstairs or?
Yeah, so I try to do it outdoors. So I have a balcony. I'll go down and I go to the balcony because I think for me it's also, there's something about hearing the birds chirping and smelling, I wouldn't say like fresh air in Singapore, but just smelling like, you know, the outside air that does something for me mentally.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do that, you know, while journaling, just thinking about 3 things that I'm grateful for, the intentions that I want to set for today. And then after that, you know, I would go to my laptop to start, you know, planning out my day, the 3 priorities that I need to get done. And after that, by then, you know, it would be, I would have like an hour left. And for me, that hour is very special because I realize that in the morning where it's quiet, where I'm undisturbed, it's also where I get the most creative work done.
Yes.
So that's where I do like most strategic work, creative work, or deep work.
Yes.
And I think that for me is most effective and most productive.
Totally agree. That part of the day after we wake up, when we are at our freshest.
Yes.
You know, it's a magical piece of the day.
Yeah.
That's why I always say to Greg, don't book us for like some kind of like very like routine like client call or some logistics, whatever.
Yes.
No, this is the freshest part of my day. I want it to be reserved for like deep creative work,
Yes,
right?
and I think that's also where, you know, I also set priorities and intentions to, okay, whether is it, you know, using like the Pareto 80-20 or the Eisenhower matrix also to really determine, okay, what would be most impactful for me to get done today?
Yes. Rach, I want to ask
Yeah.
you, go back to this balcony thing.
Yes, yes.
Do you have like a special, like almost sacred space in
Yeah.
your house where you set up
Yeah.
for this reflective work, or do you do it just like anywhere that it takes your fancy?
Yeah, I try to have some consistency in that, but also because, you know, I live with my in-laws and there's also quite a lot of people in the house sometimes. So a lot of areas are like accessed by everyone.
Yep.
But that's why I love waking up in the morning, because no one
Right.
no one except Leo is already up, right? So then that's where I really get the time to be in the balcony by myself.
Right.
And to just like, you know, sit in a corner with a cushion and have my coffee and my journal and laptop.
Can I ask, how
Yeah.
does Leo kind of like kind of weave into this morning routine?
Yeah. So Leo is actually, I became a morning person because of Leo. You know, he sleeps early, like 10:30.
Yes.
And he wakes up at like 5 to prepare to go to the gym. So during like 5, obviously I'm not up yet, but 5 to until he comes home from the gym at about 7:15. That's also where, you know, we're up doing our own thing that replenishes us, re-energizes us. So I think I don't really get to speak to him until maybe 8 o'clock when Ollie is up.
Right.
Yeah. So it's really our time alone.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's so important, right? Because like as both of us are busy mommies, that sometimes when everyone else wakes up, we're
Yeah.
already dealing with stuff.
Yes.
Right?
And you're pulled on all sides. Yeah. So that is something that I also find very important before, you know, I also react to everyone else's agenda.
Yes.
I ensure that I craft time to pursue my own agenda and set my own agenda.
Yes.
And that's why I love what you said about, you know, not falling into other people's priorities. OPP. It's so true, because
Yes.
I think one of the mistakes that I made early on in my journey was waking up and the first thing is to check my messages, check my
Yes.
emails. And I realized that that gave me a lot of anxiety
Yes.
because I was just constantly reacting to everybody's requests or ask for help. And I realized that I got into such a frantic mental state
Yes.
that I was in, you know, like in disarray.
Yeah. I feel like I'm losing already.
Exactly,
you know,
you're
you turn
right.
on your phone and it's like, oh, this stuff is there. Oh, yo, lose liao already.
Yes, and it's so overwhelming. And I find that I'm not even in the right mental or headspace to be able to then after that respond thoughtfully or strategically or whatever. So,
Right.
and I lose myself throughout the day, because I believe that how we start the day is, you know, how the day would eventually also pan out.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think, you know, it took a lot of self-control and discipline to be able to not check my messages and emails the first thing in
Yes,
the morning. It's very
agree.
tempting, but yeah.
Agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree. You've got kids that are with you, all your
Yes.
loved ones are around. I'm very envious because my kids are currently in the UK, but when they are in the same house, under the same roof as me,
Yeah.
sometimes I would think to myself, like, everyone I love is under this roof. Everyone I love is safe. Everyone I love is sound, here.
Yeah.
And that allowed me to stop the checking, the compulsive checking, because like everything that's important in the
Yes.
world is here.
Yes.
Why am I giving my attention outside of myself? So
Yeah, that's such a great perspective, right? And that's why also I really believe in starting the day with gratitude to just also, give me a more macro sense of actually few things are that urgent in
Yes.
this world.
totally agree.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to get a little bit back to specifics again.
Yes.
What do you take breakfast, and what do
Okay.
you have for breakfast if you do?
One thing about me is that, and the people who work closely with me, they all know that I need to eat on time, whether it's at breakfast, lunch, or dinner. So for breakfast, what I usually have is like toast with butter. I think that's like comfort food for me, and sometimes with scrambled eggs.
Like Singapore toast or atas sourdough toast?
Oh no, Singapore toast, like gardenia bread, wholemeal bread toast.
wow.
Yeah, 2 slices with butter. In relatively to me, it's like a lot of butter, and then with like scrambled eggs, my favorite.
The same thing every day?
Yes, then the other thing about me is I'm a creature of habit.
Right.
So I'm so predictable in that sense where if I really love something, I'll just have it for like a long stretch of time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Rach, we are good friends, but you are the complete polar opposite for me. From me, when it comes to breakfast, I either don't eat or I eat like completely random things based on
Really?
like, where I'm at. It could be like bubur ayam if I'm in Indonesia, or sometimes like, I don't know what
I love it.
tanteng kind of thing.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of it. And one of the things I learned through the journey of, setting up morning routines or productivity is that it's so different for everyone.
Yes.
Because we're all wired so
Yes.
differently. Our body constituents and
Yes.
brain and everything is so different. So that's why initially, early on in my journey, I also thought that, okay, I'm just going to follow whatever Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg's morning routine is, or Jeff Bezos. And
Yep.
then, I hope to be as successful as them.
Yes.
But I realized along the way, it's also a lot about testing, learning, iterating, and listening to your body, your
Totally.
mind, your emotions,
Yeah.
and then tweaking along the way.
I mean, Elon Musk has like 9 kids, and I don't think
Yes.
like, they, I don't think they feature in his morning routine, okay? I think
Yeah.
like their lifestyle is very different from ours,
Yes.
sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so getting back to specifics, my favorite thing to say, what kind of, do you take supplements?
Yeah. That is something that I am a slower adopter to. So only, over the last year when I started listening also a lot more intently to like Huberman Lab podcasts and all that, and being exposed to actually there are different kinds of supplements that are good and enhance like our brain capacity and power, that I started to read up about them. And then, shortly after I fell pregnant, so I, haven't pursued or haven't continued in that journey.
Like
But
folic acid, you would take prenatal.
I'll take more prenatal stuff during this season of my life.
Right.
But I think I really want to go back, especially after, postpartum and everything, like to find out more about supplements.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think for sure, like I will definitely ask you for advice in those areas.
How about like in the morning, do you meditate?
I think for me, it's just having quiet time.
Yep.
Whether is it like praying or just, setting my intentions, visualizing. That to me is like meditation.
Do you mind if I ask you
Yeah.
about your prayer practice?
Yes.
I'm so interested in the spiritual interior of people. Like,
Yeah.
I am a very spiritual person. I'm not formal religious, but I'm very interested in all religions. And I know that you're a Christian.
Yes.
And you and your family are really devout Christians, and you have this prayer. Can you tell me a little bit, because I'm so interested? Like,
Yeah.
is prayer something that you're taught to do? Is there like
Yeah.
a format of how you pray? Is it individual for each one? And like, how do you pray?
Yeah. I think growing up also in a church setting, you're taught that you have to pray before food or every morning or every night. And along the way, I also realized that it's not just a religious practice.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it's also a time where I really just sit down and be at peace and be at one with, for me, it's God. It's just, Jesus. And then that's where I also realized that, that's also the best time for me to firstly give thanks for the things that I'm grateful for the things that, I've been blessed with. And then also bring prayers and petitions or speak to God in that sense, or like start, maybe praying for certain things to happen, which is also maybe in other terms, it's called manifesting,
Yes.
praying and believing and just speaking words of manifestation out and visualizing it in my mind.
Would you
for this
actually
to happen.
speak these words out quietly, or would you just like have them in your mind?
Yeah, when I'm alone in the morning, I actually just speak it out.
Oh,
like,
beautiful.
Like, God, I pray for a safe delivery. I believe that, I would have a healthy, a strong baby, and just, things like that to articulate. Or like, if I'm going through a very difficult season, you pray for strength and wisdom. And also like, the serenity prayer,
Yes.
things like that, I
Yes.
realize also energizes my spirit
Yes.
and then gives me that strength,
Yes.
to face my challenge.
I got goosebumps when you talk
Aw.
about when you were praying, because I think like so much of resilience, the most underlooked facet of resilience is actually spiritual resilience.
Yes.
Yeah, and spiritual resilience is that you don't necessarily have to have a religion, but you have to have a connection to something that's bigger than just yourself.
Like a higher power.
A higher-
and it can be anything, that whatever you choose to believe in.
Absolutely. But it's knowing that my life is meaningful. I'm here for a reason. I'm here to contribute. And it's like, understanding there's this common humanity as well.
100%, Crystal. And that's why sometimes when I hear you talk about your spirituality also, there is so much synergy.
Yes,
Also,
for sure.
Yeah,
For
to what
sure.
I believe in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so thanks for sharing that. Love it. Want to ask you if you have mommy guilt
Yeah.
and how do you deal with it? Because that's something personally for me.
Yeah.
I think even if you're not a mother, I think women in general are hardwired to kind of always feel like we're guilty in some way,
Yeah.
or we're deficient, or we're not doing enough. And we're so susceptible to these media perceptions of like these successful women who are just like doing
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Like, do you ever struggle with that feeling of like, I don't know,
Mom
struggling?
guilt.
Yeah.
Or just
Just
guilt of
just-
not doing enough.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Especially, Crystal, in my first year being a mom to Ollie, it was really tough. Because also, I will always feel like Love Bonito, my business is like a first child, where, it's not just like a 9 to 5 job,
Yep.
but it's something that consumes you and takes up a lot of your mind space and energy consistently also. So that's why when, I had Ollie, I really struggled with it. And I think what I've learned, or at least a coping mechanism for me, is, to just remind myself that wherever I am, be all there. And I think
beautiful.
that for me is just like being fully present.
Yes.
Like when I'm here with you, where I'm in a meeting with my team, I'm fully focused and I'm fully present. And I used to just worry and keep checking on the baby cam. How is Ollie? Oh no, he's crying. Is anyone attending to him? And things like that. But I realized then I am half-assed at everything that I do in the meeting. I'm not there. And after that, when people ask me, oh, what do you think? And I realized that shit, I actually wasn't fully focused.
Yeah.
And I didn't really bring value that as much as I wanted to. And then back home when it's my supposed time with Ollie, I start replying to messages from the team or emails that I want to
Yes.
settle. And I realize that, okay, this is not good for me mentally, emotionally, and I'm not productive at all.
Yes.
So then, what I've learned is that, okay, a promise that I made to myself is wherever I am, be all there. So I do my best to ensure that, I put all distractions aside. So for example, when I'm in a meeting, my phone is away, and Leo knows that really unless, the house is on fire or there's something that really happened to Ollie, he knows how to get me, or the people in the office that can also get to me. And then when I'm with Ollie, the team also knows that, between like 6 to 8, please don't expect any response, because, that's where I'm really spending my quality time with Ollie, or in the morning, that 8 to 9 a.m. before he goes to school. That's where I really give him all my energy, my attention, and my presence.
Yeah.
So I think that helps me, because then
Yes.
I realize that, okay, this is my secret time for work. This is my
Yes.
secret time for Ollie.
Yes.
And this is my secret time for Leo. I think that's the hardest for me to follow.
Yes.
But then I think that really helps me also find peace and balance.
I love it, because it's like, what else can we do except for the best that we can do? And the best we can do is really to show up in each moment
Yeah.
with the most presence
Yes.
that we can.
Yes.
That's all we can do.
Yes.
We can't create more hours. We can't create multiples of ourselves, but we can at every moment be really the best version of ourselves with whoever's around.
Yes, and also, to do it justice by, just giving them our full selves.
Yes.
And I think being a mom, as you would attest to, is also being a mom has made me a lot more effective, efficient,
Yes.
and productive.
Totally.
Because I only have this amount of hours with
Yes.
Ollie, or I only have this amount of hours at work before I need to go back to Ollie.
Yes.
I'm really forced to prioritize.
Yes.
And one of the mistakes that I made early on in my journey was I assumed that, okay, productivity is getting as much done in a day as possible. But what I've learned, now is actually productivity is really getting the important things done consistently. And there is a marked difference for me. And it's not just about, okay, jam packing as much as I can, checking off every to-do list, everything on my to-do list, but also taking a step back to ask myself, okay, like the Eisenhower matrix, like what is important, what is urgent, what is important and urgent, and basically the different forms of it, what I can delegate, or what can I delegate, what can I eliminate as well. And I think that's something that is really important that I've also learned. So, now it's also focused more on energy management versus time management.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, because time is finite. It's a finite resource. We all only have 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That was what I guess also led me to burnout when I tried to cram and squeeze in as much during a day or week as much as possible. But then there's energy management,
Yes.
where it's a renewable resource.
Absolutely.
It's replenishable. And it's also for me to constantly, like, every quarter I take an energy audit to also notice, okay, how the ebbs and flow of my energy are in my day, which parts of my day are best reserved or used for certain types of activities or tasks. And during the low energy periods, which for me is like 2 to 3:30 or 2 to 4 p.m.,
Right.
I put in like lighter activities
Yes.
and not heavy strategy, decision making,
Right.
or decision making or important activities during that time. But other than that, there are pockets of time where I have the most energy, whether mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, to help me ensure that, I am most productive in that sense also. So I really believe in energy management and also finding things throughout the day that helps to replenish my energy.
Yes.
Like having great conversations really replenishes my energy, or having a healthy snack like avocado or nuts. So peppering all of this helps me to ensure that I also get to, achieve and do the important things well in the right pockets of time in my day.
Yeah. I love what you said about energy management. And, maybe in another episode, we'll talk about different sources of energy, because
Yes.
there's mental energy, there's emotional,
there's physical,
and
and
there's
there's
spiritual
spiritual.
energy.
Yes.
And we can really draw from these four sources
Yes.
to energize ourselves. And sometimes if we're depleted in one dimension, like, oh, maybe my flesh is weak, but my spirit
Yes.
is there to guide me.
Yes.
Yeah. I want to ask you a question which I haven't prepped you for.
Sure, go for it, Crystal.
Okay, so one thing I really admire about you, Rachel, and we have so many women leader friends, I find that each person has a very different style of leadership. And I think one or two words I would use to characterize your leadership is warm and super thoughtful. I think that you're somebody where the little details, like if I just mention to you like offhand during a conference call, like, oh, I have a sore throat, then next thing, like, wow, you'll send over like 6
That's
packets
my love
of,
language to you.
like herbal
罗汉果
drinks, lo han guo, whatever. Or I will just make some mention of something, and then the next thing I will get a package to my door, and I'm just like in full out admiration. I don't even like get gifts for my immediate family, let alone, have this sort of like bandwidth for other people and being so thoughtful for them. And well, certainly not in the way you do it. And you're the kind of person that you write a lot of handwritten notes to people.
Yeah.
And you make time for all of these thoughtful gestures. Like, do you have a system for doing this? Like, do you
Yeah.
have like an EA that helps
Yeah.
you send these things? Just for
Right.
personal curiosity, I want to know like
Right.
how you actually are so damn thoughtful.
I think, Crystal, first and foremost, we have very different strengths.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things about you that I admire that I wish I had. So I think that for sure it's also one thing, right? And I think for me, yes, I realized that, I am more intuitive, or maybe like I'm more sensitive to people's needs, and more intuitive in that sense. And it comes more naturally to me to think of how to serve and love the people around me.
Yeah.
That's why I always think that I will be very good in hospitality.
Yes.
You know, like I can preempt certain things even before someone says something.
RachReflects Resorts coming to you in 2020.
But I think what helps me, I don't have an EA or PA in my life.
Really?
I don't. But
So you are the person that's ordering me all this gula
Of course
melaka
I
cake.
am. Yes,
oh my God.
of course, Crystal.
I'm even more amazed
Yes,
now.
of course it's me. But I think what helps me, and one of my favorite apps is the notepad. So when I think of something or when I learn something about someone, I'll just quickly jot it down.
No, wait, you have like a file on everyone?
No,
with
no,
like-
no, no. I wish. I learned the notepad, but I'm also working on being more organized. So that's another thing where I'm learning to train the second brain. But for sure, I think I note it down and I write it down so that when I think of something, when you share something with me, like, oh, maybe like you have a big something coming up, I will just note it down and write it
my
down
God.
so that, you know, I
So
remember
cool.
that I want to let you know that you're not alone. I'm thinking of you. And that's really my love language.
Yes.
And we all have different love languages.
Yes.
And that for me is also like, in a way, like serving the people around me, because I really think that to me, it's the little things like that
Yep.
that matter.
Yes.
To let you know that, Crystal, you're not alone in this journey. And I'm so
Yes.
appreciative and grateful for you and our friendship.
Yes.
So that's really my love language.
You are super sincere in a way that just leaves me flat out in amazement.
Oh.
So that's one superpower. Another superpower of yours, Rach, which I'm always kind of like super envious about as well, is you have this amazing ability to bring gatherings of people together. You are the kind of person that, like, you know, you just are the glue of so many social networks. You know, it's true. Like, I have certain friends that after they move away or if they're not in town, right, the entire social circle kind of collapses because they don't have that glue that's always saying like, hey, let's do a baby shower, let's organize this, let's do something. And I will self-confess that I'm very, very lousy in this element because I'm so busy every day. I talk to hundreds of people and I do all this
Yeah.
work. Then I'm a bit like, very antisocial sometimes when I get back because I feel like I need to conserve for myself. But I feel like somehow you do the same thing. You go out, you meet all these people, but you always like are curating,
yes.
curating these gatherings and
Yeah.
meaning, not just anyhow gatherings,
Yeah.
meaningful gatherings for like-minded kindred spirits to come about. And even though I've not known you for very long, Rach, like just a few years, but like so many new friends have actually come through you because you're so intentional about like holding these intentional gatherings where it's not just like a lunch, but you have people share about their story or give them
Yeah.
certain prompts and all of that.
You know why, Crystal? Because I think what goes through my mind whenever I meet someone, and like yourself, when I first met you, is like, oh my God, I need to share you with my world. Whether it's my community online or my closest friends or my entrepreneurs. And I'm always thinking about who should meet you, who you would love to also,
Yes.
you know, click and connect
I
with.
feel
and
that. I really feel like you have my back.
Yes,
and
of
I feel
course.
like this is what makes you so powerful as well because like all of us in the it's Rachel's world. We're all just living
No,
in it.
not at all.
But all of us in your world, we all feel that you really are for us.
Yeah, because I think one of the things that maybe it's a strength is that I can see connections
Yes.
being made. Like when I meet you, in my mind, I'm really thinking, oh my God, okay, I need to introduce you to Vivi, to, you know, Yvonne, Sabrina, whoever,
your coach,
to
yes.
Joyce and everyone, because then they will get to benefit from you and you will also get to benefit from them in that in the terms of like friendship and exchange of values. So I think that's also always something that for me, how can I share you with more people and how can I share you and the superpower and the wisdom that you have with more people so that we can all benefit. So whenever I think that, which is also why I'm so like passionate about bringing like thought leaders and speakers to my community, because it's like I've gained so much and I think the world needs to hear
Yes,
from
you're
all
the
of
pass
you.
it on kind of person.
Yeah.
And one thing I noticed is that I try to copy you, and and I've been like introducing more people to each other, a la Rachel style. But the interesting thing that happens is that even if I'm just connecting A to B, because I am doing that introduction and I'm saying to A, B, I've got A that you should meet. Actually, it generates so much goodwill for B and for A,
Yes.
but also then it's an opportunity for me to reconnect with B.
Yes,
Again.
exactly.
And it's like they are so grateful, and you're just creating this like multiple ripples of good karma, in the
Yeah.
world through this like very natural ability of yours.
Oh, thank you.
So I wanted to honor you for that.
Thank you, Crystal. And I'm so glad that, I got to share you with, I don't even know how to say it, the world, right? You have really,
Yes.
even in the last year where you
Yes.
just started your social media journey,
You
look
are the
at where
reason.
you are now.
You are the reason I've gone from 0 to 220,000 followers in 1 year. And I made a whole podcast episode, and it started off with, let me talk about Rachel.
No, I honestly, what I just did was to spark something in you, but you delivered all the content, all the wisdom, all the great
but
values.
you
so-
could
Yes.
see the kind of like almost like the warp and the weft, like a loom. You can see these like threads, and you can weave them into like this magical fabric. So
Oh,
it's a
thank
very, very
you.
special superpower.
Thank you, Crystal.
Yes. So on that note, since Rachel is also, it's a very special time. She's going to
Yes.
deliver in just a few days.
Yes.
So super, super special. I'm wishing you the smoothest and
Thank you.
most magical delivery.
Thank you.
And of course, can't wait to see little baby.
Yes,
Kate.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
And thank you so much for appearing on this podcast. It was really
My
one of the most
pleasure.
fun and memorable interviews I think we will ever have.
Yes.
You've been listening to Rachel, and you can find her on, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram at miss_Rach and on podcast at RachReflects. But that was, season 1, and we're taking a break currently. So hope to be back for season 2 next year.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And of course, we have many collaborations,
Yes.
ongoing collaborations
Yes.
coming up.
Yes.
We have done retreats together. We were doing workshops together.
together, yeah.
And we're doing all kinds of interesting
Co-producing products,
community
yeah.
events and like products on the way. So, well, let's see what else comes from this beautiful partnership. Thank you so much for being my guest today on Comfort and Growth, the podcast for people who are passionate about personal growth and productivity. Thank you, Rach.
Thank you, Crystal.
See
Thank you.
you.
Everyone.
Bye.